You're listening to Art Affairs, episode number 6. Today I'll be talking to Marco Mazzoni. Alright, so my name's Michael Faith, and this is Art Affairs. If this is your first time listening, thanks a ton for tuning in. Art Affairs is meant to give you a look at and into the new contemporary art community, featuring conversations with artists, gallerists, curators, printmakers, shining a spotlight on the human side of the wonderful work they do. You can dig through previous episodes complete with show notes at artaffairs.podcast.com, and you can check out new episodes on all your favorite podcast platforms. Of course, if you like what I'm doing here, be sure to subscribe. And you can always connect with the show on Instagram and Facebook at Art Affairs Podcast. All right, so today's guest is Italian artist Marco Mazzoni. I've been following Marco's work for quite a while now, and have been fortunate enough to actually pick up a piece from him recently. He's probably most well known for the wonderful work he does with colored pencils. He's dedicated pretty much his entire career to that medium in particular, and has become quite a master at it. In fact, he even came up in my conversation with Vanessa in episode 1 when we were talking about why she first got started with colored pencils. So needless to say, I was elated to have Marco on the show. We talk about his experience with art school, his love of colored pencils, the Italian folklore behind many of his themes, and a whole lot more. So I hope you enjoy my conversation with Marco Mazzoni. Marco, welcome to the show, man. It's a real treat having you on.
Yeah, thank you so much.
So I'd like to start with your background a little bit and talk about where you grew up. From what I've read, you grew up in a small town called Tortona in Italy. What was that area of Italy like?
Is the north of Italy is a strange part of Italy because it was very rich, but now is one of the most depressive area in Italy in this moment. And I left this town when I was 20 to work in Milan. So I saw this town only when I go back to my parents' home to see my parents. It's quite strange because it's everything is changed, right? And one day I think when I will be more old, I will be back.
But you still have a lot of family there?
I have my my family is not in Tortona, is near Tortona, is a little city in a countryside. It's something like with a lot of farm, animals, and my mother loved to be there, and she can't change her life. She needed to stay there forever.
I see. Is it a historical area of Italy? There's a lot of like Roman history around there.
There is a bit famous for an old book that people think is written by a saint, and the name is Codex Purpureus. And it is strange because there is a story. There was a story about this ancient book, but the last priest went crazy and used that book to create gift to the people that marry in his church. So we don't have the book now.
Oh, wow.
He broke the book for gift.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Italians. Yeah.
So at what point in your childhood or in your early life did you take an interest in creating artwork?
I started to draw when I was 14, and it's for punk rock bands. I create the cover, the posters for some bands of my area. Really bad bands, not so good bands, but it was the 90s and it was punk rock, so it's okay. I work a lot for that, and when I was 18, I say to myself, yeah, I can do this in my life. I love it, so I start to draw like every day.
Mm. And is that something your parents were really supportive of?
My parents, the only things they think is that I need to take my money to live for myself, so it's not a problem. They don't. They didn't lock me, but they didn't support me. It's like you're free. You need to not to be a problem for us. Stop. Yeah.
So how did you ultimately get into art school? Because you went to Milan to go to school.
In Bavaria. Yeah. In high school, I studied computer, and it's now you know that Italian schools are not the best school in the world, but it's okay. I started to study art when I was 18 for college. Is academia in Italy is quite different with American college, but I started to draw there, and it was a bad experience because there are a lot of teachers that are not artists and they hate to not be artists, and it's like I hate you, student. You understand?
Wow.
Yeah. But it's okay.
So then that wasn't a very good experience for you. What did you major in?
I was not so rich, so it's I start with the color pencil because oil is really expensive here, and my teachers hate me for that because they think like Italian art teachers thinks that oil paintings is the best thing you can do. So when I start with colored pencil and paper, they think you are not able to do that. So I study a lot the technique of oil paintings, and I use it for colored pencil to be sure to have the same idea of colors and black and white with pencils. I think I use that because it's a challenge against my teachers, right?
Yeah.
And this is my work now, so it's okay that I hate my teachers.
It worked out for you in the end.
Yeah.
So once you got out of college, you graduated in 2007, and it seems like you almost immediately started putting work into galleries. How did that work? How did you start getting your work into galleries?
I started because I do paintings for another artist, like an Italian is assistente. I was an assistant of a painter. That means that I do the paintings for this artist, and he put the signs.
Oh wow!
And yeah. It is not a beautiful thing, but I was young and I did it for money. Yeah, and I started to work for myself because with this experience I meet gallerists, and the first time the problem for Italian market was that I work on paper, and Italian collectors prefer the canvas, but I haven't had problems because I sell a lot when I was young, because people loves the good draw, right? And every time you draw with a lot of patience, people love it. So I start really young. Yeah.
Interesting. So I'm fascinated by this understudy situation that you had with another artist. Is that like a common thing in Italy?
Yes or no? It was in 2007, 2008. Before the economical crisis, people spend a lot of money for paintings. People are really rich, and so a lot of quite famous artists use the assistant to do a lot of work. The problem is that the market was really full because artists create 10, 20 works a month. So it's not so good. And now this kind of artists, they don't work.
Yeah, because I mean, once you started out in your own career, then who is making their work for them now? You know?
Yeah, but I don't say the name, and I never say the name of this artist because I hate him and the works are really bad.
Fair enough. I can respect that completely.
And I can say that because I did it, so I can say that. Yeah,
for sure. So obviously, one of the aspects that really distinguishes your artwork is the fact that you work in colored pencils. I think that's one of the things that you're most well known for. Has that always been your medium of choice, even since you were a kid?
Yeah. When I did the cover of the bands, I ever work with colored pencils because I never had an art education, a good art education. So I everything I do by myself, and colored pencil is more easy to understand for me. I can't work with liquid material. Is really impossible for me. Only for other artists but it was another kind of story. And so yeah, when I was young, I start with this, and now I work with this. It's impossible to me to change.
And I mean, even though you do work in a non-liquid medium, a lot of your work has a real painterly quality to it. It still feels, I mean, because you really layer the colors on in a very paint type of way. Is this something you picked up during your studies in college, or was it something you just worked on yourself?
I did it by myself for the art teacher of the college, because they want something really similar to paintings. So I study a lot by myself to have the same technique. I work with the technique of chiaroscuro. So I start with black and white, and then I go with colors and colors and colors, like the old paintings, like Caravaggio, right? Yeah. I study a lot in museums. I went a lot in the museums to see how the paintings are, and I try to recreate the same atmosphere.
Yeah, I think it really shows. And I mean, so even though you had a negative experience in college, that the way that they challenged you might have actually benefited you in a way, right? Because you
yeah. It's my life. It's my life. I need a negative experience to understand something, and every time is a challenge for me, right? And it's I need it. I need is like a runner. I need to have a goal. And if I have a goal, I work. If I don't have a goal, I don't work. So it's like that. It's really difficult to live with this kind of ideas, but it's okay. Yeah.
It's working out, so I think it's all right. Another thing that really kind of sets your work apart is the color palette that you work in. I think that is one of the things that makes your work so immediately recognizable. Is that a color palette that you've always sort of had a passion for, or is that something you developed over time?
It's over time, because I have periods. I have periods that I love a color. I use a lot for years, and then I need to stop with that color. It's like I can't use green now, and I use green for 5-6 years. and now I can't use it. If I saw something green, I can't see it. And now is the time of the blue and pink, and I work with blue and pink, and it's okay. I can see them.
Do you think there will be a point where you get tired of blue and pink?
Yeah, I think it's now. Yes, now. I think I need to change.
Really? Okay.
I'm near to change the colors. Yeah.
What do you think is the next set of colors?
I don't know. I can try with violet or something like. I need to see something different from me. Wait, the point is that I don't do an artwork, a really artwork from 2 years from now. Yeah, so it's time to retry. I'm in English is like a sabbatic year. Yeah,
a sabbatical.
In hiatus. Yeah, but it's 2 years. Yeah.
I see. Gotcha. And when you're working on a new piece, do you typically work the color palette out for that piece in advance, or is it something you sort of figure out as you go?
The second I figure out, because it's I try to use different, and then in the half of the composition I need to use my comfortable color. Yeah. So I try. I have a try, but it's something like natural. I need it in this period, that in another period, another one. But I need them. I don't know why. It's really like natural. Yeah.
I see. One of the things about the themes that you work in is that you were heavily influenced by Italian and specifically Sardinian folklore.
Yeah.
That wasn't something that I really knew about before I started reading up on you, but is it something you had exposure to as a kid?
Yeah, my mother is from Sardinia, and I stay a lot in Sardinia when I was really young, a child, with an aunt, and she was something near to a witch, right? Not a real witch, but a witch in the Sardinian folklore, and I love her so much because she's something like a doctor and a psychologist for her country, and people need her. So every work with a woman is for her. Every work with a woman by me is for her, and she works a lot. She loves a lot the plants. All the plants I use is medical plants for the works. So it's like the Italian word is a contributo, is something like tribute. Yeah, a tribute to her.
Wow. So, I mean, that's a lot of your work has sort of involved that sort of aesthetic. So all of that was a tribute to your aunt.
Yeah. My aunt and that kind of women that we have had in Italy before the church says that was witches. People love this kind of women before the church says no, is not okay. But in some area like Sardinia, there is now some of this kind of woman, and are okay with the area. Okay.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I'd read that there was, it was sort of a matriarchal society, that a lot of the women were healers and herbalists, and they used plants to heal.
Yeah. In Sardinia, a lot. You know Italian mafia, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Italian mafia is really machist. Okay. But in Sardinia, there is a kind of mafia where are the women the real boss. The women are the real boss, because Sardinia is really matriarchal, right? The man is the part of the family that they need to have money from work, but the women are the boss. Okay, so it's good. I love that, because in Italy in this moment we have a lot of problem of machist in politics and in cultural view. So it's a good place of Eden, Sardinia for Italy. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. And one of the aspects of a lot of those pieces is that the women a lot of times don't have eyes. Can you explain what the reasoning is for that?
Yeah, it's because if you see the eyes in a face, you understand who is. I don't need that. I need a portrait, not the portrait of that girl. I need a portrait because it's a tribute to this kind of women. I don't know what kind of face they have, but they are. You understand? So it's something like okay, is for this kind of women, not a woman, right?
That makes sense. Yeah, so it's more of a tribute to women in general rather than a specific person, right?
Yeah. I use the story of my own, but is for a kind of society that there is not now, but is a possible kind of another world.
Interesting. And nature also plays a big role in a lot of your work. Is that something that you always cared strongly about, or is it something you sort of grew an appreciation for later?
No. When I was a child, I stay a lot in the nature. I meet a lot of animals. I need dogs in my life is something like, and I need plants. I cook a lot of vegetables and. So it's something natural. It's something really easy for me to use this kind of flora because I saw a lot in my life. I think the contemporary artist need to have a genius loci. It's something like you need to speak about yourself and your experience to be a truth artist, right? Because in internet you can find everything and use them like a reference, but to be an artist you need to speak about yourself and your experience and try to have something original, and you can be original only if you speak about your life, right?
Right, yeah. And do you I mean, just to make sure that you're capturing things in the right way, do you research much about your work? Like you mentioned you have medicinal plants that you depict. Do you tend to research those before you draw them?
Research from my mother neighborhood, yeah, and like there are a lot of old women that use plants to heal cold. So the medical plants is really useful for the old woman in the small country.
Okay.
Yeah, it is not so good. It is better a doctor. Yeah, but it's folklore. Okay.
But I mean, it's worked for hundreds of years, right? So
yeah. But I'm not against doctor. I speak about this kind of situations. Yeah.
Sure, makes sense. One thing that I've observed about things that you post online is your moleskin drawings. You do a lot of that now. Is that something you try to do daily, where you draw on your moleskins?
Daily. Yeah. I draw a lot on the moleskin, and now I will do a show in Paris next year with a moleskin really full inside, and I do all the pages with pen. Yeah, I think if I don't draw, I think I can be an obsessive compulsive man. Yeah.
So it helps as sort of an outlet.
Yeah. I need it to be quiet, and I need it because sometimes I have no problem to draw something inside the moleskin, but I have problem to draw something inside a white big paper. So is useful for me to try without any kind of oh my god, I can't do that. I try better inside. It's more easy for me.
Do a lot of the ideas that originate in your sketchbook become full pieces?
Yeah. Sometimes I need only a line from a sketch inside the moleskin to start a big work. I think moleskin the sketchbook is really important for an artist because people need to see how your idea come from, and is okay, is contemporary, and I think is okay because it's like you are inside my head now. Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. And I've also read that you use your sketchbook to sort of recreate portions of artwork from artists that you look up to, people that you admire, like masters of old times. Do you still do that?
Yeah. I did it when I was really young, when I go to the museum to recreate the images of artists. And if you see in some images, I used to color the palette, right, near the images, because I did it when I was young to understand and to recreate something. So now I work like that inside the moleskin, like, because I was young and I love to think about my young time. Yeah.
Very cool. What's your typical process like from the beginning concept to final piece? How do you typically work out a new piece of work?
I start with in the middle of the paper with a mouth, and then I like a circle of things. I try to recreate plants. Before I need to understand what kind of plants I would love to draw, and what kind of medical plants is, so I can work with that. If I use stramonium, that is really hallucinogenic. I need to create a kind of face that is really with open mouth. So I start with that, and I work like exquisite corpse. Yeah. I know when I start. I don't know when is the end, and but something go. I've not have steps.
How do you know when you've finished then? At what point are you happy and say, hey, this is done?
When I have a deadline.
I could appreciate that.
I don't know, but I think when I was young was not like that. But now I need deadline because I work too much inside a draw if I have time. So it's better to have deadline to stop before, and it's better to stop before for me, because I don't know if you saw my last pieces are really, really full, and I don't think it's okay for me, but I need to do it. It's strange. Okay.
No, I understand completely. What is your working environment like? Do you have a dedicated studio space, or do you like work from home?
I have the studio in home because I'm really I don't know the English name of. Wait, I'm lazy. Okay. So I need to stay in home because I need to cook. I need to stay with dog. I need to stay with my girlfriend. So I have a room in the home with the studio. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. And what is your typical workday like?
Get up at 7, go out with the dog. Get up at 7, another coffee, go out with the dog, sit in front of the desk, work, lunch, work, dinner, film, sleep. Yeah.
So you watch movies a lot?
Yeah, a lot of TV series, movies, audiobook. I need someone that speaks to me when I work. I can't work in silence.
Mm. What about music? Do you listen to much music?
And I listened a lot. Now I prefer audiobook, but it's a period. But I think we have the same idea of music. When I saw your Instagram stories, all the album you have, I have. So it's yeah.
Very cool.
Like I saw that you have now the new of a Silver Mr. Zion.
A Silver Mount Zion, yeah.
Okay, perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, I love them. I didn't know you were a fan. That's great.
Yeah. I have 3 albums of them. Yeah.
Very cool. And I saw an interview you did maybe sometime last year where you were talking about how important it is for you to start drawing in the morning. That if you miss out on your morning time, you've pretty much lost the entire day.
Yeah.
Why do you feel that it's so important to start that in the morning?
I think I'm lazy. I'm really lazy. So I need to fight this kind of thing with work. I work a lot. Really like 8 hours a day, 10 hours a day sometimes, because I have the fear to be lazy. And so if I don't start early in the morning, it's really difficult to me to do it on the afternoon. I lost the day. Is okay, I do something different. Okay, stop. The day is gone. Yeah.
Mm. What do you take time off on the weekends or do you work?
It depends of the deadline. Yeah. Sometimes yes. Sometimes I take 2 months and I don't work. Sometimes, but now I'm working on from 1 year to a big book. Is a project I have on my head for 5 years. And now I'm working in, and I do the vacation on September, and I never stop from September.
Interesting. So you mentioned a book. You're working on a book right now. Is that something you can talk about, or is it still under wraps?
It's I would love to, but I need to wait to have everything. I'm really near to the end. People that follow me on Instagram and Facebook, people that follow me want this book, so it will be something really that I did from a project I worked in a lot. But not now. It's better that I don't speak because it's like in my head and it's not really. You understand me?
Absolutely, yeah. You don't want to speak before it's fully finished. So I totally get that.
Yeah. But I have a publisher. I have everything, so it will be out next year.
Awesome.
So I have deadline for that. Yeah.
Very cool. You've done other book illustration work, though. Most recently, the Mignolina project, which I actually have the book right here. So
from Italy?
Yeah, I bought it off of Amazon Italy. So I had it shipped from Italy, and I've been using Google Translate to read it. So it's been great. How did that project first start? I have a stop from outward, like galleries. I can't do an artwork for galleries since 2 years because I don't know. I stop it. I don't know why. Maybe it's because my first dog is dead and I say, okay, stop. I have all my art career with this dog. Yeah. And I stop it when he's dead. He's dead. I say, okay, I needed to speak about the story of that dog that is dead. And I do a book, okay, like a children book. And I put it on Kickstarter, crowdfunding. And he went very well, very, very well.
And I was so thrilled about the narrative part of the drawings. Yeah. So Benjamin Lacombe, that is a really famous French author of illustrated book, call me and say, "Okay, Marco, if you want to work on an illustrated book, I have this project, and you can do everything you want." I start to work on it, and I really love it. Not my work, because I really love the idea and the narrative part, because in that moment for me is really important to speak about something, and for me it's more easy to speak about something not with only one image, but with something like a book, right?
Yeah. So you like telling a bigger story with your work, is what it sounds like.
Yeah. It's the first time I did this. The Mignolina is a classic book, but my friend Benjamin says it's better to start with something that people know, so you can work on something with your style without problems. And but the book I'm working in now is completely different.
Do you find it a challenge to illustrate other people's narratives, or do you enjoy that sort of work?
Yeah. Now I am on challenge with a lot of illustrative people, because I need to create something really different. I saw a lot of artists that I didn't know before, like Sean Tan. You know Sean Tan?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He's an Australian artist that did a silent book that in English is The Arrival, and is a masterpiece. It's something really narrative, but really artistic, and I love it. The illustrated books are a new world for me, and I'm really enthusiastic, because I saw new people, new artists, new everything. Yeah,
that's awesome. Is that something you'd like to continue to do?
Yeah, I don't know. My life, you know, I speak about my life every time I think about something. I love it, but the day after change everything. So it's like, okay, I started like an artist with gallerist, and now I can't create an artwork. So it's every time is something new for me. It's okay. It's quite. I need challenge. It's not so easy to live like that, but it's my life, yeah.
That's awesome. And you ultimately had a show in Madrid recently to sort of celebrate the work that you did for the book. Tell me a little bit about that. Who all was there?
It is the Museum of Illustration in Madrid. The BC Museum is really important in Madrid, and people in Madrid really love illustration. They don't have in their head difference between artists and illustrators, so they love both at the same time. Is not something different for them, and it was really awesome, because young people are really interested in illustration in this moment. Like 10 years ago, I saw the same enthusiasm in art in Italy, or for my experience in USA, but now young people prefer that kind of things here in Europe, right? I don't know in USA what is if is the same, but is something like they need now with social networks like Instagram. The difference is that now we need more words with images, not only images. Okay, so there are a lot of people that want to have the signed copy on their hand, and they stay a lot to wait for a sign. It was really awesome. It was really a strange thing for me, but it's okay because for that kind of work you need to be there. But it was okay. Yeah, I love it.
What is the art scene like there in Milan?
Yeah. It was. It now is not so good because Italy is not the best nation in this moment for economic things or like that, and it's strange. I'm lucky because I'm old now, and I have my experience on gallerists, but now gallerists don't try with new artists in Italy. So there are no young artists, and when there aren't young artists is an art problem, because it means that there is not fresh things, right?
Right, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, we are the artists in Italy, we know each other, and is boring. It's boring. Yeah. At the end, the word is boring. Yeah.
I see. So there's not a lot of like fresh ideas coming in because
fresh people, fresh ideas. Artists have a lot of fear to do something wrong. So they repeat a lot the same things because art collector want this. Yeah. This is why I stop it for now, because I need new idea. I prefer to not create something a lot the same idea. I need to change. I take my time for artwork. Yeah.
Very cool. I think people probably respect that about you. So.
I don't know, or respect, or they wait. I use the exactly word in English, or they forget about me. So it's it's okay, but it's my life. Is not a problem. I need challenge. It will be a new challenge to remind myself to people. So it's okay.
One of the projects that I'm particularly fond of and that I wanted to talk to you a little bit about is the Illustrated Encyclopedia of Mental Illnesses. What is the origin of that project? When did that start?
I have a person really near to my family that have this kind of problem, and I think, and this is an Italian problem, that mental illnesses are considered like sin, okay? Because we have a great church culture, and church culture don't love mental illnesses because they can't speak about that. It's not something physical that you can see. I start to work on that because I think, okay, is an illness, you can see that. You need to have an illustration about that to understand that is an illness. Yeah?
Yeah.
And so I start to work on that, and I think I start to work on that for my mother, to say to my mother, okay, it's not like a sin, is like something like an illness. Okay, so we can speak about that. Yeah.
Do you feel that she was receptive to that? Has she embraced that more now that you've illustrated these?
No. I think she hates that, and it's not a problem, but it's a challenge. I have time to. She will understand that.
Okay. And how many pieces have you ultimately...
Wait. A goal is that sometimes I use my mother to understand if I do something good or something bad. And if she thinks is not good in art direction, it means it's okay in art direction. So it's like, yeah.
That's fantastic. I love it.
Something went wrong in when she loves something that I did. Yeah.
It's time to work on it some more when she likes it.
Yeah.
How many pieces have you ultimately done for the series?
20.
20. Okay, very cool. And do you do much research for these, or is it just stuff from your own experience?
Yeah. There is a lot of research because it's. I think is really important. Is not an argument that I can work easily. So I need to do something with respect and something that is really okay for that kind of illness. That kind of mental illness means that people have. So I work with a lot of respect, and it means with a lot of research. I spoke with doctors, so it's really research.
Well, I really enjoy that series, and it's something that I really appreciate. One of the things that I've recently seen you posting about on your Instagram, I believe, was you were in front of a classroom. Were you teaching?
Now, sometimes I do workshops because a lot of students they want to understand how to draw like oil paintings, but with pencils. So it's sometimes I do 2-3 days of full immersion lessons to speak about that, and I will have 2-3 on next year, but not a lot. I'm not a good teacher.
Is it something you enjoy doing though?
Yeah, I love it, but like vodka is okay a glass, is not okay a bottle, all right? Yeah.
And would you like to do more of that? Is that something you'd like to continue to do?
I don't know. Maybe it's like if I say to you now I don't love it, I'm sure next year I do a lot of that because it's my life. So it's I don't know. I love it, and I do it 3, 4, 5 times a year.
Okay, very cool. So what do you have coming up in 2020? Anything you can talk about?
I have a show in Paris with my new gallerist to present this book with the originals because I do a lot of drawing. Is 100 pages, more than 100, so it will be a 100 originals show. It's really big. I really. And it is the first show after my hiatus, so I have 2 years without shows, and next year I have this kind of big show in Paris. So I don't know, I can't think about it I say okay, I will do it, I will do it. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big show, 100 pieces. That's quite a lot of work. That's impressive.
Yeah. The last 2 years of works that I never shows. So it will be something really different, really different. So I don't know if people will love it. I don't know. Maybe it's my life. Yeah.
Very cool. All right, well, we're right at the end now, and so I want to ask you one last question, and it's something that I'm asking everybody. Who is one artist that you'd like to see me have on the show?
I really love some artists. Like I love the life of artists. I would love to listen Andrew Ham. Yeah,
Andrew Ham. Yeah,
I know him and I love him. Sometimes we chat, and it's but a lot of other artists. But Andrew have this kind of work that the trip is really important for his work, and it is really contemporary. And I think he's a great artist for that because he is a really world artist.
Very cool. Well, Marco, thank you so much for coming on the show today. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on.
Thank you, and sorry for my English.
Oh, no. I think that was great. So that's it for this episode of Art Affairs. I hope you enjoyed my conversation with Marco. It was a real treat having him on the show. I found it super fascinating, the reason why he intentionally omits the eyes from the faces of the women he depicts. The fact that adding the eyes makes it more a portrait of a specific woman, while instead he really wanted to depict that strong woman figure in general. I also really appreciated the opportunity to learn more about Sardinian culture and how they have a far more matriarchal society with really strong women figures and women serving in very powerful healer roles before ultimately the church came in and demonized the practices and condemned the women as witches. As Marco suggested, the world could certainly use a lot more appreciation and respect for the strength and importance of women in our society. We've long had an abundance of machismo, and that hasn't been working out so great for us, has it? I think we'd all do well taking note of these Sardinian ideas, and I'm grateful to Marco for sharing that with us. So big thanks to Marco for joining me today, and thank you for checking out the show. I'm super grateful for your support. Feel free to shoot me an email if you have any suggestions for the show, or if there's a guest you want me to try and have on. Also, if you have any questions you'd like me to ask future guests, send those over too. I'd love to hear any feedback you might have for me. You can contact me through my website at artafairspodcast.com. And like I said at the front of the show, you can go there to check out any previous episodes. You can also find the show on Instagram and Facebook at artafairspodcast. And last but not least, if you're on Apple Podcasts, I'd be really grateful if you took a moment to rate and review the show. I can't tell you how much that actually helps. So until next time, be good to yourself and be good to each other.